Well, guys, welcome. Let me just make sure that we are recording
Yes, we're
audio and
recording
video.
on
Okay,
on Zoom, on the Roadcaster, and in
on
other
everything.
cameras. Everything.
Well, Brad, you know us from Dominican Republic. I think
Yes.
that Max and the chef had yet to meet.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
So Max is our VP of Strategy and Business Development for Risa Cacao and Kahkow. Nadia was on the previous call, manager for Cacao USA. I'm the project coordinator of everything that needs coordinating. And yeah, we're very happy to have you guys on this upcoming episode of Kahkow Culture. How are you guys?
I'm doing great.
I think we're great. Very
Yeah.
warm, kept warm. There are right now 95 degrees Fahrenheit here in Santo
Oh,
Domingo.
wow. Yeah.
That's hot.
Nice and
That's
warm.
very warm. We're
Yeah,
close to
thanks.
cooking temperatures.
Right.
It's true.
So,
Well, of course, we have a lot of questions for you guys, but maybe we can talk a little bit about how each of your journey regarding chocolate began. I don't know if Brad, you want to kick it off, and then we'll move on to Nathan.
yeah, sounds great. Yeah, first off, it's just great to see all of you because just, miss seeing your faces in person. But, soon enough. But, I think for me, I guess how I got into chocolate, really, I've always loved plants, I guess, even when I was a little kid. I was that kid I was either the pitcher or I was in the outfield. And when I was in the outfield, I was sort of trying to just picking the flowers and looking at the plants in the grass and trying to identify them and stuff. So I've always sort of loved plants. That led me to studying tropical botany. I was also studying, uh, you know, dendrology up in Vermont. So just always had a love for plants. And then, at some point I sort of realized, wow, there's just a lot of plants out there. And I was, there's just, it's like, can you pick one and sort of get to know it a little bit better. And it was right around that time that I was going to school in Vermont, and I was visiting the Montreal Botanical Gardens in the dead of winter. There was, you couldn't find a leaf anywhere, and within 150 miles. But this was a beautiful botanical garden up there, and I went up, and they have a like a big conservatory, fancy greenhouse, and they had a an amazing couple cacao specimens. And so just thought, what the heck is this thing? Seeing the pods for the first time growing off the tree and the flowers, and realizing that this was chocolate that I of course loved. And so that sort of just got me hooked, as all of us in chocolate in some way or another get hooked at some point.
And how old were you?
I was
when that
I guess
happened?
I was probably about 18 or 20, somewhere in there. Yeah, so just kind of going there. And then I sort of connected the dots. I grew up kind of near Hershey, Pennsylvania. And I remember going to the factory there, and seeing the like the cocoa trees, but never quite understood what all that was about. But anyway, just fell in love with it. And then went to school, focused on tropical botany, did a lot of studies with cacao. The day I graduated, I got a job at Lake Champlain Chocolate. So I worked for them for about a year. And then I went down, and I traveled and worked my way through Mexico and Central America, Brazil, working on cocoa farms, and and, sort of learning all about the back end of what really makes great chocolate, and understanding, trying to figure that out. And then came back to the U.S. after about a year and started working at Scharfenberger Chocolate, which was probably about 2002 or 2003. and then worked for Scharfenberger as a product developer for about 7 years, I guess. About halfway through that, Hershey bought the company. So I worked for Hershey for several years, which was actually a fantastic experience, really interesting to see the inside of a huge company like Hershey and get to know it and be able to.
And what was the difference between the Schaffenberger and the Hershey compared to
Oh,
the...
wow. You mean in terms of Scharfenberger itself?
Uh-huh. No, for you.
Oh, well,
Personally.
Scharfenberger, we didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea. We were just trying to figure it out, and
Well, you were curious. You had thirst for
we
knowledge,
we were
right?
curious. Yeah, we just wanted to make great chocolate, and we realized that cocoa beans were the key to it all. And so, we just tried to, meet people and partner with people, like the Rizeks, and who really were.
That's when you visited Riza Cacao, right?
Yeah, that's the first time I visited. It was, probably 2004, 2005 or something like that. I met Max and others, and your Nadia, your dad and your granddad and everything. So just that really, sort of cracked my mind open and made me realize that, wow, this is, you can actually apply scientific thinking. You can apply a process to creating and with a focus on quality. And so it was I think I've definitely shared. I feel like I say this to you every time I see you guys, but it was a very eye-opening experience to visit Rizek, especially having been to many other farms before that, but not ever really seeing great scientific process applied to cacao. It was, there was, certain moments where I saw that, but just you guys have been doing this in a really methodical, smart way for so long. So it's, definitely that was a big part. That was a big inspiration. Getting to see Setiko and getting to see, El Ramanal and all of that. And so, anyway, was at Scharfenberger for a while, and then basically, was going to move back to Hershey and work at the R&D facility, but decided to stay out here. And CHO had an opportunity. They were just starting out, and I started at CHO 2009. So it's been about 12 years now. Here at CHO, and it's been great. We've really been able to, expand and explore some of those ideas of applying, science to chocolate. So,
okay.
What about the lion in the podcast?
I mean, it's funny because listening to where Brad has been all of his life, I feel I was just a couple steps behind him almost the entire way, because many of the companies he's worked for and worked under, I was enjoying those chocolates essentially the same time he was at those different locations. I grew up in Arlington, Virginia, in a very healthy household. So we didn't have any sugar cereals. My mom wouldn't really buy chocolate. She would buy carob, which she would tell us was chocolate, which it clearly was not. And no human being would ever think it was. But I did have grandparents who enjoyed baking about 4 houses down the way, who did get Hershey's chocolate. So I was able to get, cookies and some brownies. And I learned about trying to sneak baking chocolate, which is not a good thing as a child. I think all of us have done that, taken a bite of baking chocolate and spit it out in deep confusion. But I think my professional journey, which led to chocolate, actually didn't really happen until just before culinary school, going to Le Cordon Bleu. And that's when I was actually enjoying Scharfenberger. And it was right around that time I started to discover personally what good chocolate was and what sort of great chocolate was. And I know that Scharfenberger at the time had, I think it was just 3 bars, Brad. It was like they're semi-sweet, they're dark, and maybe they're 41%. And so I was using these bars to bake with. And then when I got into culinary school, I was exposed to different types of chocolate as well. But it wasn't until like advanced pastries and chocolate work. I come from an art background, so I was a stained glass artist and I was a sculptor and a painter, that I was really able to pull the gloves off and get deep into the science that is chocolate. And that is what truly, truly drew me in very, very deeply. Because you can have something like the different phases of water, where you have water as a steam, water as a liquid, and water as a solid. And I think chocolate is pretty close to that as well, where you can have the creaminess of a mousse, which is very airy. You can have the structure of a brownie, which is solid but not. And you can have all these different types of things that chocolate lends such an important structure and flavor and sweetness and creaminess to, all in one thing. And so, other than wine and coffee, my two other dear loves, because I've been in the restaurant industry since I was 15, chocolate is my third. I think it's the three pillars of Nathan Lyon, and chocolate is a very strong and very deeply seated pillar. And I thank Brad, for that big time, because I remember, my first exposure to Cho was at the Fancy Food Show in San Francisco a number of years ago. When what was her name? Metcalf. What was her name, Brad? With Wired magazine. Oh goodness,
It's Jane Metcalf.
Jane Metcalf, exactly. So Jane, I met Jane, and that was, it was way back in the day, and we just started conversing, and I think I was already doing television at that time. And she sent me home with some samples, and that really blew my mind, because I went from essentially what really good manufactured dark chocolate or semi-sweet chocolate or what have you, to so much variety. And as an educator and as a life explorer, culinary explorer, that really opened up the gates yet a second time. So I think that's my direct segue through culinary school as a child that had really no idea what chocolate was, to now where I have like practically a safe and storage unit. Other things like my sugars and my wine, they're out in the open. My chocolate is way deep in the back. You have to like open safes and things, like get smart to get to the chocolate, because it means that much to me. So that's sort of my story in a nutshell.
Okay.
Love it.
Now, Brad,
what-
just
yeah.
out of personal curiosity, how does it
Yeah.
feel to be a president?
I realize why presidents get gray hairs quickly. No, it's great. It's great. Yeah, Max is referring to the
To the FCIA, of course.
FCIA, the Fine Chocolate Industry Association. I've been the president for the last couple of years, vice president before that. So just you can blame it all on me, I guess. But no, it's great. Yeah, FCIA is a
Is that
awesome.
a paid job? Do they pay you?
Yeah,
No?
very handsome, very handsomely. No,
Okay.
no, I don't know.
Inexperience.
It's yeah. I guess I could put it on my resume. That's my payment plan. No, it's a total labor of love for everyone involved. Really, we've got everyone's all the board members are volunteer, and really have a great crew. Definitely great board members. Big companies from Blommer, small companies, like Dandelion, others, many others in between. So but the FCA is really just all about connecting people together, which has been it's been definitely a strange one in the last couple of years with COVID and all that, of course. So
Yeah, but I'm asking the question because exactly you had to face the pandemic and
Right.
all the difficulties connected to the situation.
Yep.
But incredibly enough,
Mm-hmm.
the FCIA has thrived through these very difficult times, and you have given your best, your absolute best to the sector, I would say, and to all your affiliates.
Well,
You have done a fantastic job.
Thank you. Yeah, and definitely,
Yeah.
in large thanks to you guys. I mean, you've been almost more than any member. You guys have been just amazing. And Nathan, I don't know if you've seen. I have to send you the recording, but Max and Nadia and Daisy, they put together, I think a couple tours of their facility, which is just so cool. I mean, it's hard to explain how amazing their facilities are, what they're doing down in Dominican Republic. And, you know, just from my perspective, like when people ask me what's the hardest thing about being a chocolate maker, it's just how do you connect with the people that are growing your, you know, your ingredients that are really defining your own product quality. And so to be able to, you know, have connections, to be able to, you know, bridge those, you know, big geographic, cultural, language barriers, it's just phenomenal. It's been really fun, challenging, but fun to just be able to continue to dive into things like Zoom and other, you know, applications that allow us to just transcend, you know, boundaries
Distances
like
and other
that. So
barriers.
exactly. So it's super inspiring. Like I wake up just like, wow, like what's going to look like in 5 years, you know? It's just, you know, how, you know, cause it's just, you know, and Cho is, you know, Nathan is, was
The-
mentioning Jane Metcalf, but you know, she and her partner founded Wired magazine, and then they went on to help found Cho. And so we've always had a lot of like sort of, you know, futuristic technological, passion at this company. When I first started at Cho, I think I was the only person that wasn't from a tech background. So it's always just been deep in our DNA to just try to figure out new ways of doing things, new ways of communicating, overcoming challenges. And, you know, so that's really like the heartbeat of, you know, of the company. And so it's fun to think about, you know, what new technologies will allow us to create better connections, create better quality, create a new world of chocolate, really. So.
And I think this deep appreciation
and
of
the webinars
chocolate.
FCIA has been making.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nadia.
I think that the webinars that FCIA has been making are all great for the industry, and all these different topics that you've covered lately. We've seen so many of them that have helped us with so many areas in the business. Just the other day, we saw one about shipping that has helped us a lot with shipping chocolate. And I think it's FCIA has been a great tool during this pandemic. So props to you, Brad.
No, it's definitely thanks to all the people behind it, Bill and Effie and all those, you know, all the staff and everybody, and really thanks to you guys, because we wouldn't have any content if it weren't for, you know, members sharing and you know cross pollinating with everything. So thank you, big time.
Like the term cross-pollinating.
Yeah.
It's like a sort of incestuous relationship among insects.
Yeah, like cacao, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's been great, absolutely, because during this time where we have been apart, you guys have brought us together in the digital ways and the virtual ways as an industry. And, you know, we've gotten to know so much more in depth all of the chocolate makers and the other origins, and just really learn about so much more about this industry. And I was saying before, I was saying before that this deep appreciation that we have for chocolate is really now fueled by knowledge about where all of this comes from. And, you know, we're able to talk about agricultural processes with bean to bar makers and about fermentation and drying. And for us, it's been great because that's what we live and breathe, right, Max?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, I think it was an opportunity to create a sort of pre-competitive knowledge sharing platform, which was much needed. And in this respect, for example, you know that we have always prized secrecy in a way, because most of our technology is something that we consider proprietary. But considering the circumstances, the pandemic and so forth, we decided that it was the right time to open up to everyone and share what we have been doing during the past 20 years. And in this respect, I think that also the other chocolate makers have forgotten for a minute that we are competing and started to share at a deeper level?
You know, we're still such a young industry. I mean, you know, in terms of the fine chocolate world, I think it's still really in its infancy. When you look at things like beer, when you look at things like wine and coffee, and you know, I definitely, you can look at wine and coffee and beer, and you
Like our
see
big
where,
brothers, what we're headed.
yeah, like our big brothers, and a little bit like, you know, you know, a look into the future, right? And you know, there's certain things that they've done wrong, and we can avoid making those mistakes, and there's certain things that they've done right, and we can try to make sure we do that. And I think one of the things that Cho has always tried to be kind of on a little bit more on the open source side of the sharing spectrum. And you know, we don't do a great job all the time, but I think you know, we've always wanted to be able to help others. We recognize that, other small makers are definitely our competitors, but at the same time, you know, we're all doing our part to educate the consumer, which ultimately is the biggest hurdle that we have, is how do we get the consumer to kind of buy into all this,
Oh,
literally.
yes.
You know, and you know, how do you get them to pay an extra $1 or $2 for a chocolate bar, or $5, whatever it is, right? And help them realize that we really can taste the difference. And you know, the data is promising. You know, it's growing quickly, but it's also, you know, we're still quite young. So I'm hopeful that, you know, through things like the FCIA and just great companies like yours, you know, sharing, people will be able to, you know, increase the quality and be able to get that message to the consumer.
Yeah.
So
I have
Yeah, and
another
I think
question for you. So
Yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
Daisy, because I'm old and I might forget my question. Tell me about the Japanese culture. How pervasive is it?
so Cho was acquired by the 8th largest chocolate company in the world, I believe. They called Izaki Glico. Many people have never heard of it outside of Japan, but it's basically it's a big $3 billion plus a year
But we know
company.
them very well. That's why I'm
You know them
asking.
well, yeah.
Very well.
That's amazing. And you know, I have had I've been able to go over to Japan 3 times in the last few years, and you know, be able to see their, you know, meet their team, meet the family who owns the company. You know, the great grandson is just, you know, and his father are still running the company, and they're doing a great job. It's been amazing. I have to say, it really is. And you know, I say that to everybody that I meet. It's been a great thing for Cho. It's been a great thing for Azaki Glico, I think. And
Did they
you know,
take you to nice restaurants there in
once in a
Japan?
while, yeah. At first they did. No. No, it's no. I mean, it's hard to find a bad restaurant in Japan, actually.
Yeah.
You know, at least from my experience. So it's been just amazing to see the culture. The Japanese culture is just and be able to get an inside view of that is just, for me as a, you know, head of R&D and creative. It is just, it's so inspiring. I mean, the attention to detail, the attention to design. I mean, it's like almost cliche to even talk about it, but it's just, it really is. It's remarkable. It makes you think about everything that you do here,
Their
and makes you
packagings are incredible. The amount
incredible.
of thought that they
Yeah.
devote to designing a package and how it should snap open and
Yes.
be resealable. That's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
It's you know, I don't know why, but I was like watching an old Steve Jobs video, and it just popped up on like a suggested video or something a couple days ago. And you know, of course, he was talking about how important it is for there to be great research and technology, but you can't start with the technology and then try to force it onto the consumer. You have to start with the consumer and then, you know, create the technology behind it. And it's a balance behind those things. But his main message was just, you have to think about the consumer. It has to start with them. It has to inspire them. And in Japan, it just feels like that is so deeply ingrained in that culture there. It's just everything starts with, what will the experience be? Whether it's having tea, or if it's even the cheapest little candy, 2 cent candy, the wrapper will have a nice, interesting way of opening, and you realize that somebody actually designed it that way. Somebody was thoughtful. Like the one word that I came away with was just thoughtfulness. And so yeah, anyway, it's been a great experience with Glico. They're passionate about chocolate. They're a 100-year-old company. It's family run company, and they've been they're famous in the US mostly for Pocky sticks, if you've ever seen those. And so they've just been really interested in helping us grow. And we've been trying to do things a little differently in the sourcing world, of cocoa, and they really love that. More ethically, focused sourcing and all of that. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
Very good.
And we were talking about education a lot, and I really want to say it does tie in with the comment that Max was making regarding this specific chocolate maker, because one of the things that the pandemic has allowed us to do has been to reach out and just like communicate and transfer all of this knowledge that we've been developing over so many years at RISEC and at Kahkow. So I guess that positive feedback we got from our customers, because now they really understand why it is that these things can happen in the cacao and chocolate industry. So speaking of that, and the changes that the pandemic has brought in the different areas that we all work in, what has the experience been like for you, Chef? I know that you also use the digital means and the virtual stuff as a way to educate your consumers.
Right.
So what was that? How has that affected the way that you work?
Thing is, Brad sort of just tailed off with the thing that he was left after visiting Japan, which was start with the consumer. And I have the ability, as you were saying, to be able to be that direct contact with the consumer. So Brad inoculates me every couple of months with information of chocolate, and then I'm able to disseminate that information. But the difference being, it's had this paradigm shift as far as my ability, and I think a shift in a very positive way. If something's to be positive out of this pandemic, hopefully many things. Before, I would do food and wine events, and I would be speaking in front of a couple hundred people, and it was more of a monologue. And of course, when I'm on television, it's just plainly a monologue, because no one can have any dialogue with me because it's on television. So pivoting to Zoom cooking classes to people all around the world has enabled me a very intimate look and relationship with people that I've garnered over these last 16 months, which is vastly different. It allows me to literally look into their homes and see what kind of products they're using, or see what types of ovens they have, or pots and pans and knives, and then start that dialogue. Because if I'm teaching a cooking class at a store, everyone gets the exact same pots and pans and spatulas and everything. But now it gives me a ground floor level direct touch to what people are using, and we can discuss why you would want to use a natural cocoa as opposed to the Dutch, or why you would want to use a certain percentage of chocolate. And we've had the ability to get a lot of people interested in chocolate. I know that I've sent people to Cho's website and developing these different recipes I have for Cho. And these dialogues are wonderful, because people that drink wine and people that drink coffee they're starting to understand the subtle nuances of chocolate. And one of the things that I share with people, as far as my customer base or people that I'm cooking with live, is that chocolate's like CHO that has a flavor profile makes my job easy, because Brad has already done all the heavy lifting for me. You know, if I'm saying just get a semi-sweet chocolate, that's not good enough, because consumers are afraid worldwide, are afraid to fail. You don't want to spend money on good butter, and you don't want to spend money on good organic sugar or what have you, and then have something not succeed. And what I found working with CHO is that the greater the Rolodex of the percent the cacao that they have on offer, the easier I am in order to reassure my customer, meaning the people that I'm cooking with live or on television, that it's going to turn out. Because as you know, chocolate isn't just about structure or about flavor profile or about sweetness. It's about the absolute outcome of something. So if I say use a very specific range of the chocolate on offer, if they go too high in cocoa, their custards are going to be grainy. If it's too low, it's going to be really loose and it won't set properly. And the same with cakes. It works the same way as reducing or adding too much sugar, or adding or reducing too much flour. So, for me, this pandemic has been a really eye-opener, allowing me to develop these real intimate relationships, because one of the things I've learned since I became a chef, if I'm in restaurants, I don't get to talk to my customers because they're out in the front of the house. And again, on television, I don't get to talk to anybody unless they email me, years or months later. So to have something real time and work through problems real time and have discussions about quality and different ingredients real time is a huge game changer. So it's been a pivot. It was one that was unexpected, but this technology was even on offer was such a godsend. And now to go back and schlep on a plane and go somewhere and get in a taxi and do all these things, rather than having this universe of people literally in Europe and in Asia and all over the US in the same moment live, it's just wonderful. I think it's absolutely astonishing. So
Yes.
it's great. It's been really wonderful for me.
But we still want you to travel, and we want to extend an invitation
Yeah, absolutely.
to our farms and the processing center in the Dominican Republic. I'm sure you would love it. Like Brad was saying, I think it's like Disneyland for chocolate makers and professionals that want to learn more about all of the work that we do. And I know that you really cater to the nobility of your ingredients, chef. I was looking at a lot of the work you do, and it was really surprising how we can compare both worlds, what you do in your area of expertise and how far we've gone in our agricultural, just trying to understand like genetics, fermentation, drying, how we've built all of these protocols to try and put science into this thing that nature gave us. So I think you would really love it. And that's why we extend the invitation.
I'm glad you said that, Daisy, because your DNA is actually here.
Oh.
And I will say this, when you sent the cacao pods, I had about a 95% germination rate. And I was sending Brad, because it's, as you were saying, Max, 95 there, it's 97 plus degrees with about 90% humidity here.
Yes.
These guys are thriving like crazy. And I had to go to mom and pop places and give away about 75 of them. And I'm left with 25 on my front porch. And they're just, look at this. Oh my God.
Wow.
He recognizes you guys. This is amazing. So, your genetics and your DNA and your love for your craft and what you do, we will have another Zoom class, hopefully in 5 years, when this is big enough to start to produce. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
Nathan, I think it's also great what you're doing. Like Brad was saying, our industry is still very young, the chocolate industry. And I think that people doing what you do are key in helping educate consumers about what good chocolate is. So likewise to you as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think that we got those pods probably from La Esmeralda in
Oh.
May. So you got
Wow.
like main harvest La
Yeah.
Esmeralda genetics.
Amazing, amazing.
They're great. I love
Yeah.
them. I you know, as Brad and his wife Melissa were saying, like, I've become that crazy cocoa plant guy. I go out every morning and I talk to them. I make sure the humidity's right and everything's wonderful. So it's really, I think I've become more of and I've always had a green thumb because one of my television shows is actually on PBS and it's a gardening show. So
Mhm.
I love the relationship that if you treat Mother Nature well, she will just love you so much, you know, with
Yeah.
bountiful, wonderful things. And clearly, you know, case in point, I have this amazing plant right in front of me from you guys. So it just means so much to me that you would give me these genetics and allow me to grow them here in Austin, Texas.
Oh, that's so
Wow.
cool. Well, you need to keep us posted on how the plant develops.
Evolves.
And
Yeah, you
did
might
you
have
name
some
it?
problems. Some problem
I
for
have
the
I have
pollination.
25 of them to name, so that's a lot of names. I can't.
Wow.
Right now they look almost identical, but their leaves are starting to grow. Some of the leaves are as big as the plant itself. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow, that's so cool.
in a few months, you have some problems or challenges for the pollination because they will flower. But unfortunately, as far as I know, you don't have the insect who does that job for you. So you might have to pollinate by hand.
I'm ready.
Yes,
Oh.
but then there's a problem. You don't know which ones are the male and the females. So it's going to be it's going to be hard, but you can make it. You can make
Thank
it.
you, Max. I appreciate that. You feel very comfortable and confident.
You just need a good pair of tweezers and you'll be okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, Nathan, maybe you could I don't know how your Spanish is, but maybe they're looking for an agronomist down there. That's pretty good germination rate. 95%.
That's very good.
Yeah, if he does a good job, he can go graft in La Magdalena, right,
La
Max?
Magdalena.
Yeah.
Our white cacao.
I'm very
Oh, wow.
specific.
I have one question for Nathan. I've always been, I'm a home cook and passionate. I really like cooking, experimenting, putting lots of thought and working with my hands. But of course, I'm not a chef. What makes a chef? And what's the difference between just a home cook and hobbyist and a professional chef? Worthy of that name, of course.
Well, but the easiest answer would be, the chef is in charge of the kitchen. So, for all layman's purposes, I'm a very talented cook with a lot of experience. But because I'm on television, I have to give myself that title. I don't hire and fire people. I don't have a professional restaurant as we speak. And so most chefs that I know actually still call themselves cooks because it's just, it's a term that it's sort of nebulous. It's like saying semi-sweet chocolate or dark chocolate or milk chocolate. Like the spectrum is constantly flux. But, when you guys all come to Austin and I, make you some meals here in my home kitchen here in Austin, at that point we will be friends and I will be your personal chef or a cook, but a lot of the titles, when I call myself a chef, I would call myself, and it's falling out of vogue, like a celebrity chef, because I happen to have a fairly large audience that trusts me, because I only share what I know, and I'm also very open to say that I don't know something. In fact, I'm quick to say that I don't know most things, but I'm very eager to learn. And instead of saying that I'm a teacher, I like to say that I'm a person who shares. So instead of I'm teaching you, it's different than saying, let me share this with you. It just has to do with my intent on what I'm trying to convey to the home cook. And when you make something very exciting, the information sticks with them. And so if I'm able to relay and say something like, if you get this particular type of chocolate, for example, the cookie that I designed that took me over 3 years, that we shot and filmed here in our home kitchen for Cho's website, you can use 60.5 all the way up to 66 or 68 or even 70, really, because it's not part of the cookie itself. So you can melt or not. But I use that particular chocolate because it has like a little, like a vanilla and some caramel, but it also has like a little raisin flavor on the back. And here in America, you have oatmeal raisin cookies. So whether they know it or not, they're going to experience that chocolate in that cookie exponentially more than if they use, for example, a chocolate chip that doesn't have a lot of character to it. And once I explain that to them, they get it and they just don't turn back. It's like having a really good glass of white Burgundy and you've never had it before, and then you're spoiled for the rest of your life and you wish you hadn't sipped it. But once you have that knowledge, you're just a different person. And I'll leave you with this, because food, I think, is much more intimate and much more personal than even religion to most people. Because if you tell a person that their grandmother's meatballs are not very good, they will probably try to assassinate you.
Yeah,
but
that's a
if
deep
you
insult.
if you disagree with their religion, you can still be friends.
It's okay. Yes.
It's fine. But food is a very intimate, very powerful thing. So I take my like status, if you will, as a teacher and as an instructor very seriously. And that's why being on a call like this and getting as much information from the four of you is so very important. And it means so very much to me that I get to monopolize a big chunk of your morning so that I can take this information and then give it to all of my customer base as well.
Well, we're more than happy to be a part of the monopoly. And before we close up the episode, we wish we could talk for hours, and well, we can definitely record another episode because we would love to keep going. I also want to extend Brad an invitation. It'll be up to you when you would come, but we are kicking off our chocolate maker in residency program at Kahkow, New York.
Very cool.
So we extend the invitation as well
to
to
come
you,
cook
Chef,
with us.
to visit.
Excellent.
Come
Excellent.
cook with
that's
our
beautiful.
ingredients, as we like to call them. And, we have a factory and bean profiles at your disposition for you guys to use. So
basically, we
the
decided not to
invitations.
have a fixed chocolate maker because we don't want people to feel that we are competing with them. And the only way to do that is saying, okay, well, here I have my factory, come and prepare my cacao your way.
I really think this whole, Kahkow New York model, the whole cacao project is just super creative. I've never heard of anything like it, and I think it's just a really cool design. It's just it's a really neat thing that you guys are doing. I don't want to flip the interview around here, but could you just share a little bit about that? I mean, you guys are obviously, you've been growing cacao for 100 years, or however long it's been, quite some time. Not sure exactly how long, but and then really you've had such a cool focus on science and technology, for the purpose of efficiency, but also the purposes of quality and product differentiation. And it's just amazing. And then just in the last several years, you've created this concept in New York of cacao, the store, and could you just share a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, we, as you say, we had this quality product and this new segment in the industry that was growing so fast, the craft chocolate makers and these small chocolate makers that were doing even chocolate at home. And the shipping costs from Dominican Republic were so high for people that needed low quantities. So we decided to serve this market and open a warehouse in New York where we bring in a few containers a year, and we're able to supply our beans in small quantities with no minimum order quantity to these chocolate makers that really value our quality and the flavor. So along with our warehouse, we decided to open a shop that serves as a one-stop shop for not only chocolate makers, but for chocolate lovers that want to go and try a chocolate made with Dominican cacao. We also wanted for the store to serve as a place of education. In US, there's still a lot of education that needs to be done around cacao and how chocolate is made, where as we were mentioning earlier, the quality chocolate, how it's made, where it comes from, what is cacao. Many people don't even know what cacao is. So we decided to open the shop as a way of educating people as well. And it's also a factory space. And we are, as Max and Daisy were saying, we recently launched our our chocolate maker in residency program. And we recently had Michael Laisconis create a chocolate with our beans that will, stay tuned, will be coming out in the fall. And yeah, it would be great to have you both, Brad and Nathan. It doesn't even have to be chocolate. It could be like a cookie, Nathan's cookie at Kahkow. And we would love to have you both as a way of keeping the education going and having all these different chocolate makers and different professionals in the industry show their work as well with our chocolate and our beans.
Very cool, very collaborative, and very unique idea. Love it. Super, super cool. It reminds me of something that you'd see in the world of coffee, actually.
Yeah,
when we were doing cacao, we visited the Starbucks roastery, and it was like, wow, this is actually very similar in the coffee industry of what we were doing.
Right. Yeah, super cool. Love it. You guys are always just looking a couple steps ahead, and it's always been inspiring. So it's great to see the next generation, building on that, and very, very cool.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for all of your comments, Brad. I mean, they mean the world to us, and I know that you guys, Max and you, Brad, you probably have stories for 5 episodes about the journeys in cocoa and chocolate. But hopefully, we will see each other in person soon. Maybe in one of the upcoming festivals, if not before.
Sounds great. Yeah.
So we look forward to seeing you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great to see your faces here and chat. So
it was great chatting.
Absolutely.
And Chef, such a pleasure to meet you and learn more about you.
We'll wait for you in New York.
And this plant.
25 of these plants.
You need to keep us updated on social media on how they keep growing.
Yeah, I will. Well, I mean, we post a lot of stuff on all social media platforms, which is under essentially just my name, which is Chef Nathan Lyon. And, chocolate is one of those things that means quite a bit to me. And it's interesting because I don't mean to continue this whole thing. I have separation anxiety, so I'm going to keep you guys on all day. But Nadia, you were talking about, and Brad, you were just talking about the relationship that you guys have had with chocolate for over a century. One of the things that drew me and continues to draw me toward your products and my relationship with you is growing stronger every day. Is that I used to work with a farmer for many times a week for over a decade. And so I developed these wonderful, very tight relationships with farmers all over Southern California. And that's right when farmers markets began to grow exponentially. And then people started realizing how important it was to have that very intimate relationship with the farmer. And we would invite our customers to the farm to see how we farmed and see how we used compost and, talk about the different types of products we would put on our plants, if any. And I love it how all of you here, all of your faces that I see are part of this generation that's not covering everything. It's actually saying, this is what we do. This is who we are. These are the relationships that we have with our farmers and our cultivators and our roasters. And that's a story that is so easy to, I don't want to use another word, but sell. It's like, for me, it's a relationship that's not like a giant corporate thing. It's a mom and pop thing. And everybody has a story about gardening with their grandmother or cooking with their grandfather in the kitchen or vice versa. So it's a very intimate thing. And I just wanted to applaud all of you for, continuing to produce such wonderful products from the beans all the way up to the finished product of chocolate that I get to work with. Because when I get to share even an abridged version of what we talked about today, people hold the chocolate in their hands and it means something because it comes from somewhere. And there's a location somewhere in the earth where it grew and it was constant, it was roasted, and now they have it in their hand. And I just wanted to say that that's a story that kind of makes the hairs on people's arms stand up. And then when they taste it, it's a meaningful experience. It's not just like a drive-through fast food place where they shovel it down their face and sit in front of the computer. It's a real special, intimate, almost lighting a candle and popping a bottle of wine moment that you have all created. So I just wanted to applaud all of you for
Thank
allowing
you. That's
such a wonderful product to exist.
Thank you for the kind words.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, wow, thank you so much. It means the world to us, really. So, it definitely is a testament that this century-long work that the family and the company has been doing, and every new aspect that every generation has brought into the company has translated in such an incredible way. It just makes the work that we do even, it makes us even more passionate about what we do and how we do things. And it pushes us to continue and to strive for more. So thank you so much. It means the world to hear that from you guys.
You're so welcome.
All right.
Great.
Well, I want to keep going, but I know we have more things to do. So
the cacao trees need watering, I think. So
yeah, right.
yeah.
But
I'm looking forward to a single origin Texas chocolate.
Oh,
Yeah.
Texas chocolate. Wow.
There you go. There you go. Well, you can do born in the Dominican Republic and
That's
then
right.
bred
Exactly.
in Texas.
Exactly.
Bred in Texas.
Born and bred.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, guys, we will stay
Thank
in
you.
touch. You will probably hear more from me but I think we had a great episode, and I want to thank you guys so much. And whenever you want to come back, just email us. We love talking. We're Dominican, so we talk a lot by nature.
Próxima vez en español.
La próxima vez en español, yes.
Para practicar.
Sí, 100%.
Qué bueno. Thank you,
All
guys.
right.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye.
Okay, hasta luego.
Thank you.
Bye.